Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another series review. And today's series review is none other than Arcane, League of Legends. So, what is Arcane about? Well, essentially, it plays off of the concept of magic, off of technology, and most importantly, off of innovation, and sometimes about how people can be possessed by greed. Arcane follows the story of two sisters who live in the Undercity, both of them out on the hunt to try and find a way to make money. However, one of the sisters comes across some bits of technology that will eventually be innovated to create technology beyond imagination. By dropping this bit of technology, she ends up getting all of them in trouble as a house explodes. The two sisters and their little group manage to escape back down into the Undercity, but not without almost paying the price. That price almost being their life in prison. Both sisters begin to bicker and their feud begins to grow stronger. Eventually, the two sisters are torn apart. One becomes the hero of the Undercity, whilst the other goes up above trying to stop her sister's terrorist acts. So let's tell you about both sisters. First, we have Vi, the fist strong, hard knuckled, and straight to the point sister. Then we have Jinx, the cheeky, the sweet, and quite frankly, I don't mind saying this, but frankly, flipping beautiful. Vi has a girlfriend named Caitlin, and the pair of them go on the hunt for Jinx. However, Jinx makes her declaration very clear. She is going to destroy the upper city by pretty much tearing apart their democracy. She manages to achieve this in the end of Season 1 by pretty much using a rocket launcher and blowing up half of the politicians. This causes an array of chaos in which Jinx will never come back from. Meanwhile, down in the Undercity, Jinx is praised as a martyr as she has proven to the people below that they can fight back against their oppressors. However, their world becomes more conflicted when it turns out that a young apprentice known as Jace has been messing around with technology for far too long, and his assistant, Victor, has become too obsessed due to his disability. Turns out that Victor has let the magic that they've been using overtake his body, and it possesses him beyond a point of control. Victor is fully possessed, and Jace realizes that he must now team up with the people that he despises in order to free their world. On top of this, it turns out that there is a dictator waiting in the wings. This dictator is none other than Anbessa. Anbessa is this ruthless woman who essentially raised a daughter that she had stolen away from someone else and had waged war across the world. She takes what she wants, she knows what she needs, and she will do as much as she wants till there is no more mouths to feed. Eventually, Ambessa is defeated, and the rebellion strikes fire into the world, showing the people of Port Dover that they can live free. They don't have to be oppressed, whether by magic or by rulers. I think the most prominent song in this whole series is Enemy, because it is so true to the point about Jinx's situation. Jinx's sister constantly tries to bring her back to the light, but at the end of the day, her sister turned her back on her and decided to team up with the people who killed her parents. Now, underneath everything that's happening between the two sisters and all of that, it turns out that there's an even deeper story behind the shades of the eyes. In the beginning, there was Silco and there was Vanda. Now, Vanda goes on to become the father of the two girls that he finds after the Great War between the Undercity and the Higher City. The war becomes so conflicting that they don't know what side anyone's fighting on. But Vanda decides to save the girls not out of some contemplation of necessarily being nice, but out of the fact that he feels guilty for the woman he loved. Now, it's not quite clear who the girl's father is. We know quite clear that along the way, somewhere, Vanda and Silco both met their mother when they were very young. Obviously, they both had feelings for her, and this is what makes their bitter rivalry even worse. After the death of their mother, and when the two girls are taken in, Silco and Vanda have been fighting forever on who decides to control the Undercity. Eventually, Vanda manages to try and overpower Silco, but Silco eventually manages to overpower him. Vanda becomes a horrible beast, to which the girls find themselves at the mercy of deciding whether to let him live or die. Silco, however, at some point in the series, manages to coerce Jinx into being one of his footmen. Little does he realise, though, Jinx has her own motivations, and no matter how much he tries to control and manipulate her, he can't do anything because she is her own person. Now, one of the other prominent characters in this whole entire series is Echo. Echo is a kind of down-to-earth lad who's pretty much trying to just provide for everyone. But when Vi bumps into him, pleading to try and help Jinx turn back to the light, Echo points out that he believes that Jinx is too far gone. During the second season, however, we see the relationship that blooms between Jinx and Echo and finally learn how much they need each other. This is after Echo tries to stop Jinx from blowing herself up and ends up finding himself split into a whole other dimension. Echo realizes in that other dimension that he lives a happy life and him and Jinx are together and there is no war. But when he comes back to his own world, he remembers how broken Jinx is, and even after how irredeemable he sees her, he still loves her. Chase finds himself at a very breaking point. He fails in politics, he fails in power, and most importantly, he starts to believe his technology is not a gift but a curse. He is warned this, however, by a scientist known as Professor Heimendinger. Professor Heimendinger is a scientist from way back in the day who has helped build Piltover with technology and innovation, but he has seen these dark magic before and he never wants to see it again. He tries to warn Jace before it's too late, but of course the Arcane breaks open and the world becomes split in two. Eventually, they manage to overcome all that happens, but their lives will never, ever be the same again. So, Arcane Season 1 and Season 2, what do I give it? I give it a solid 10 out of 10. It's a great story of tragedy, loss, and most importantly, relationship between family.